there should be rules on the lid. Okay. Make sure someone reads them before you get started. Okay. If someone forgets the rules or has a question about the rules, you refer to the written rules on that piece of paper or inside of that box so that everyone is on the same page. Create an atmosphere where the expectation is clear and the rules will not change. That creates an environment of trust and consistency, which is vital to children with disabilities learning to develop the skills that we're going to discuss today. Okay, so rules. Now, every single game that you play teaches these social skills. Learning how to wait your turn while playing games is important because it teaches children to learn that waiting your turn is a part of life. As adults, we wait our turn at the grocery store. We wait our turn at the DMV. We wait our turn at the Social Security Administration, and we're always in line waiting our turn, but we don't really think about it that much. But for children with disabilities, waiting in line for your turn can be incredibly challenging. So having a family game night can help your child learn in a totally safe environment how to wait their turn. And if they fail, well, they get to try again. Okay? Remember, FAIL, F-A-I-L, stands for first attempt in learning. All right? Keeping your child focused on anything seems impossible at times, right? It really does. I get that. So playing a game can help them learn to stay focused on what's happening right in front of them. They have to pay attention to the game in order to play, and they are invested in winning, so they have the motivation to win that helps them stay on task. I do want to bring up a point here. If you notice them staying on task, if you notice them paying attention, give them a positive acknowledgement of that observation. Something like, hey, you're doing a great job paying attention. Do not add. Simply don't do this. So why can't you do that in school? Don't add that, because now we're finished having fun and you are measuring them by a yardstick that is different than school. And that's not fair to them. Now, staying on topic, keep the gameplay as part of the conversation, saying things like, hey, that was a great move, or that was a great play. That'll keep the conversation focused on the game and what is going on. Ask them questions. What do you think I should do? How would you move at this point? Now, that'll also help with the next two items. Okay, staying on topic will help with the next two items. Being a gracious winner or being gracious when you're losing. When my family played games together, we always gave the winner a round of applause, okay? And congratulated them as a group. Oh, great job, son. You won today. That's fantastic. Okay, do you want to play again? Let's play again. Maybe somebody else will win this time. It'll be great. It will have fun. I wonder who's going to win. Okay? If your children are super competitive, this is going to be very challenging. This is a night for family fun. The winner only gets a round of applause. If you're having pizza and ice cream, everybody gets pizza and ice cream. Everyone gets whatever else you do on family game night, okay? There's no rewards for winning, just like there's no punishments for losing. This is just spending time together as a family and having a good time. Remember the goal? The goal here is to aid in their social development and teach them how to participate in gameplay for fun while learning crucial developmental skills along the way. It's not about keeping score. It's not about giving rewards. And it's your job as the parent to create an environment that reinforces fun family game night. Okay. Now let's talk about motor development and developing those motor skills. Card games teach both fine motor and gross motor skills. Cards, I love cards. Dealing cards, shuffling cards, manipulating cards, holding cards in your hand, sorting and moving cards so that you can get them where they need to be. All of these things require the development of those fine motor skills, or if you're dealing the gross motor skills that allow your arms to work in concert while you're dealing the cards. Everything has to work together. And that hand-eye coordination to make sure the cards go to the places that we want them to go. Okay? Games like Scrabble that have tiles on a little rack like this. You have to move these using pincher movement, using this pincer fine motor to hold on to those tiles and keep them on this rack. Move them around, slide them so that you can make different words. Okay? Organize and reorganize them. These are perfect for kids who need to work on that pincer movement, fine motor skills with their hands. And moving game pieces on any board is relating the spaces to the numbers and counting and large motor hand-eye coordination. Now, every game has something, whether it's you're reading cards that are on a stack, whether you are holding cards in your hands, matching colors or pieces, everything. Card games and board games are a treasure trove of motor development skills, therapy type things to do. So that's our little bit to add about motor development. Now let's talk about cognitive development. Of course, card games are great and inexpensive, and there's 100 different types of card games out there. And they all involve strategy, planning, having to change your strategy midway through the game based on a play that somebody else did. All of those things can happen with card games, but some of my favorite games for developing critical skills, these critical cognitive skills of critical thinking and deductive reasoning, are Clue and Battleship. They're not complicated. They're a lot of fun to play. They encourage communication skills also, asking questions, making choices, solving problems. Everyone can play in teams or individually. Now, in Battleship, each player can place their battleships on their board wherever they want, and the other player makes a guess and tries to sink the battleship, right? They have to keep track of all of their misses. They have to keep track of everything they've done. So it's record keeping to help them build those memory skills, right? They track the hits and misses they've already made. In Clue, they have to take whatever information they gather, keep recording it. They have to know whether or not Mr. Green was in there, whether or not the rope was in the library, or if it was the candelabra. They have to keep track of all of those wonderful little details so that they can make the best guess possible, and use it to get to the solution that they want. Now, that sounds like being an adult a lot, doesn't it? Keeping track of all the little details in life so that you can make the best possible choice available to you. So all of these critical thinking skills, all of these cognitive developmental skills from games like Clue and games like Battleship, which are also a lot of fun to play, can assist them in helping them to become as independent as possible. Now, let's look at some games that are great for improving math skills. Okay. All of the games shown here, they're basic mathematical skills: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and they're a lot of fun, like Feed the Woozle, Quirkle, Sum Swap, Battle Sheep, which is the, Battleship's companion, Money Bags, Ticket to Ride, which is so much fun, Bingo, Connect Four, Hi Ho Cherry-O, and Yahtzee. They're all a lot of fun. They teach those basic foundational math skills of addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Yahtzee is my personal favorite because it also has the sensory component of shaking the dice in a cup. So helping the children with the sensory issues learn how to manage that part of their disability while you have it in a fun family game night. Okay, and then we all do math together. What could be more fun than that? Sitting and doing math together. I know, I have a different idea of fun. But let's look at games for improving reading and language skills. Alphabet recognition, rhyming, phonemic awareness, basic reading, patterning, planning, flexible thinking. All of these are amazing things, part of the executive functioning set, part of learning how to use vocabulary, and they're all right here in front of you. Super Y ABC letter game, sequence for kids, categories, bananagrams, Scrabble, and Mad Libs are just a few of the ways you can learn about antonyms, synonyms, spelling, sight words, and the parts of speech. My house, Mad Libs were the absolute favorite because my kids wanted to find the craziest adverbs and adjectives out there to make the stories ridiculous and super funny. And they kept trying to figure out new ways. And I've never seen my children before Mad Libs want to go to the dictionary to look up nouns before Mad Libs. So reading was never so hilarious and fun in my house as when the Mad Libs came out to play. Now I'd like to talk to you about my favorite game of all time. This is my absolute 100% favorite game. Memory, or perhaps you knew it as a kid as concentration. Okay, you deal out the cards in that little grid pattern, and they're upside down. And when you flip the cards over, you have to see what they are, and you have to remember where they are so you can try to make a match. Right? That's why it's called memory or concentration. So why is this my favorite game of all time? It's simple. Everybody's played it. This is my favorite game because it teaches the concept of matching. And you can apply matching to literally everything. Okay. For example, if you say something like, we need to get ready to go to school, you know exactly what you mean when you say that. You know 100% everything that needs to happen before you get to school, the steps that you need to take, the order that they need to be taken in, and what every single person at house needs to do in order to get ready to go to school. I guarantee you that you are the only one in that house who knows exactly what you mean when you say, we need to get ready to go to school. Because you don't realize that that simple sentence has expressed a multi-step sequence of events that are clear only to you. That sentence, we need to get ready to go to school, does not imply that there are many things that need to happen in a particular order to accomplish the task. For example, you can't get into the car first because maybe you aren't dressed yet, or you haven't brushed your teeth, or you haven't eaten breakfast yet. So getting in the car is one of the things we need to do to go to school, but it's not in the right order. So you also don't want to have to give a command every single step of the process either. You don't want to have to sit there and do every single step and bark out commands all the time. So how can you get, we need to get ready for school, to happen without all of that out of order and nobody understanding? How about you take a picture of your kid when they are ready to go to school, and you just tell your child, it's time for you to match this picture. They have clothes on, they have shoes on, they have their backpack, they're ready, right? So when they say, I'm ready, you can ask, did you match the picture? Instead of asking, do you have your shoes on? Are your socks on? Do you have your backpack? Did you brush your teeth? No. Did you match the picture? And if they say yes, you're ready to go. Now think about this. Think about this just beyond, let's think beyond getting ready to school. Think about, instead of clean your room, make your room match the picture. The expectation is very clear. They can see what the outcome is supposed to be. They can see it. It's right there in front of them on a picture. Now, they just have to make their room match that picture of their room when it was clean. Now let's take it even further. How about this? Match me. Match my speaking volume. Match my walking speed. Match how I am standing. Match how I hold my spoon. Match my conversation topic. Matching. All from this really simple game that we played in preschool and in kindergarten and elementary school to help us learn shapes and colors. All of these great things came out of that concept of matching. So that's why it's my favorite game of all time. Okay. Now I know board games are very expensive. I know they can be, and I am not suggesting at all that you run out and spend a fortune on board games. All you really need is a deck of cards to teach most of the principles that we've talked about today. Okay? And again, there's hundreds and hundreds of card games out there to play, including that memory game that we just talked about. So I did go to Google and I asked, what kind of games can I play with a regular deck of cards? And I got over 908 million results. So there's got to be a game out there for you and your family in that multitude of search results. Now, once you start having a regular game night, you're following the rules and you are, you've set an expectation for your family of what they can expect, and you're having fun and they're learning. Once you start having that regular game night, you can invite other family members and other friends over and join in the fun. You can ask them to bring a new game that they might play that you don't know about. Just keep it friendly, follow the rules, and remember, it's about making learning fun and teaching your family that no matter who loses, everyone wins at family game night because we're having fun together and we're enjoying ourselves. Okay. One of the things that I did not allow at family game night, it was not a time for screen-based games. It was not a time for anything over the internet because that is individual. And family game night needs to be about family time where everybody can participate. Everybody can participate together and sit around the table. And remember, we're working on waiting our turn and making our own choices. And too many times with video games or screen-based games, it's, you need to do this, go over here, you have to do this to help me. So I purposefully don't do those. Everybody gets a chance on family game night. Like my family, once a week, we would have family game night, and each week somebody would choose a different game, and we all had to learn to get along with the other choices. Like mine would be Scrabble or Farkle, which is one of my most favorite games ever. Because I like games with words. My son would choose Mad Libs every single time, and we would just laugh like crazy. But everybody has a game that they like. You can build up to the more complex games like Monopoly or Parcheesi or other games like that. But start with these smaller games, these easier games, and card games are always easy. And it's easy to follow the rules of those. Okay, so let's see. All right, so now we're going to reflect on some of the stuff that we've heard so far. And, oops, sorry, I didn't know to do that. I didn't mean to do that. But we're going to say, which part of the presentation was most informative to you today? So.
So Jill, we've got some responses that are coming in. Linda is saying that the ideas on how to incorporate family game night with preschoolers and early readers. Do you have any ideas for that?
Okay, so that's a really great question, because with early readers, it's not so much about the reading as it is the experience of waiting turns and everything else. But any of the games like Quirkle or let me see. I like Quirkle because it's just colors and shapes. But but and that's a lot of fun. Sequence is really good. I like categories for older kids, but for younger kids, just bananagrams is a lot of fun because it's manipulating stuff and it's manipulating the time. It's basically Scrabble, but there's not a board to play on. Everybody makes their own interlocking words, and you have to think about how you get the words here and there. Um, some
Joanne was also saying that I guess at their house, Zingo is a great game for early readers. That's what they
Yes.
use.
Yeah,
Um,
Zingo is fantastic. Like I said, there's so many games out there, and it's it's impossible for me to come up with all of them on my own. Zingo is fantastic. There's my kids haven't been little in a long, long time. So the game world for younger children's games has changed tremendously. So yeah, Zingo is a lot of fun.
we also have a question from Erica, and she's saying, what about fourth graders that start thinking they're just too cool for these activities?
Yeah, well, kids are going to get through, they're going to do a lot of stuff, but it's like, okay, this night of the week is family game night, and we're all going to play a game. And a great thing to do is you can talk about how much you played this game when you were a kid and how much fun it was. And did you know your grandpa loved this game? That was one of his favorite games. And Grandma Mary, oh my goodness, Grandma Mary used to play this game and she would make a pie. She'd get so excited about playing this game. She'd make a pie and we'd all eat her pie. So maybe we could have pie on our game night and we'll talk about Grandma Mary while we're doing that. So that is one way that you can institute that this isn't just about you and how cool you are. This is a family tradition that we're passing down to you. And it's all part of our family's history. And it's a lot of fun to talk about family because someday they're going to have children and grandchildren and they're going to want to know how to make Grandma Mary's apple pie and have game night and talk about Grandma Mary's apple pie. And they just don't know it yet. But just be consistent with it and be like, hey, we're just gonna do this and it's gonna be fun. And you can choose the game next week and we'll choose the game this week. But the rules are, has to be a board game or a card game. It cannot be anything on the computer.
Beatrice was saying that she loved how you gave what skill the games are building and how to make real practical connections to everyday life skills. Um, so she said that was really helpful. And Erica was saying that she said it was just great information. She was very appreciative for all the great information. Tess has a question for you. She was saying,
Sure.
would you recommend a reward for your kids doing family game night? Usually we watch a movie for family game night, so this is a change they may not like. How do I convince them?
Well, you can do family game night where you have, I mean, games don't last for like hours and hours and hours. You can play a game of cards for 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes, and then you can watch a movie and make that part of it. Just you add it into part of the experience. Like I said, one of the best things to do is Mad Libs because, oh my goodness, you literally have to do nothing and everybody, but when you go to read it, you're going to have to pass it around and everybody's going to get a turn to read it because you're just going to laugh like crazy because the ridiculousness about the Tyrannosaurus on a bicycle who, or whatever words that come out of their little imaginations. And it's so much fun. I mean, those only take like 5 minutes.
Right.
So ad libs before movie night. Do a little card game before movie night. Like, what's the card game that we used to play when we were kids? Oh my heavens, we used to play. I mean, we used to sit around and play Spoon for hours. But that was fun with a lot of people. But there's so many other things. You can play Uno. Everybody loves Uno. Uno is fantastic because it's following colors and it's changing. Draw 4 or draw 2, and now it's red, and it used to be blue, but now it's green, and it's so much fun. But I mean, games like Go Fish, games like we used to play something called Old Maid, which was the person who got stuck with the old maid lost. but you had to get pairs. So, gosh, so many great little games do not take a long amount of time. Farkle, again, really quick. So, I mean, and Victoria, this is like such a great and fun game, isn't it?
It is
I mean,
one of our family's favorite
before this
games.
started, it's like our families both love this game. And it's just, there you go.
Yeah.
It's just dice. You have 6 dice and you roll 6 dice and you try to make, okay, I rolled 3 6s. I'm going to try to get all 6 to be 6s. And just, it's so much fun. It's so great and it's easy and it's fast.
Right,
And
right.
anybody can play it. And I love the games that anybody can play.
Andrea was saying that she's been using a lot of games for her son who is on the autism spectrum disorder and also has ADHD. And she said it's really helped him a lot with his social skills. She said she's seen a big improvement with that.
Yeah, I have twins on the spectrum, and I can't tell you how much game night contributed to them being able to not take everything so literally, to be able to have fun banter around the table, like, oh, this is the card that you really wanted, or oh, thanks, Mom. They learned how to have those little quips in there and not take things personally, and they learned how to take their turn, and they learned what was acceptable social interaction and what was not, just by playing games. So I agree with that assessment. It is so helpful, very helpful.
Well, as much as you love that matching game, Beth is saying she agrees. She absolutely loved the matching strategy because the game itself was a springboard to being able to carry it over in so many other areas. And then Andrea was saying that the game Guess Who, have you ever played that?
I don't know if I have.
Oh my gosh, it's very fun. And I could see where this would really help. Andrea was saying the game Guess Who was really helpful to get her son in terms of his communication skills. So in Guess Who, you've got these little people. You get to see them, and the other, whoever you're playing with, they've got their people, and you have to give clues and guess who the
Yes,
person is that you have or who's
right.
left, I think it is.
Yes,
But
because they have a mustache or they don't have a mustache. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And Erica said she was really appreciative. They were all great ideas. Um, and you know what? Andrea was saying she really didn't think about that matching game being used in such a broad way. Um, Linda said she said it's been amazing, gave her a lot of new appreciation of games. And again, she really liked the um, legacy and the matching um, games. And
Matching is my favorite thing because you don't have to sit there. See how I'm holding my shoulder. You say match how I'm standing, and they go, oh, okay, I can do that.
And Tess is saying that again, I'm finding that a lot of our attendees tonight, they do have children who are on the autism spectrum, and they're saying that um, they she said this is so helpful, especially people's comments, because there's other families on the chat that have children, and that it's just been really helpful because she has a daughter who's on the autism spectrum, and these are all great ideas for her. Um, and
Yeah,
then Joanne is
it's a
saying,
lot of fun.
oh, she said that Joanne has kids and she has a YouTube channel where they actually play games and she shares lessons with the games. So I think that's great that we have a parent who's also helping to provide a resource and share with other parents.
Yeah, that's
Really great comments. My goodness, people are being wonderful. Oh,
there's so many
Skip-Bo.
games that you have to I think there's so many games out now where it's like you have to give verbal clues. I mean, it's like Pictionary back when, but instead of drawing, you have to use your words and describe how to do stuff. And then the other people have to pick up on your language cues of what you're trying to describe to determine what it is that you're talking about, whether it's a movie or a television show. I mean,
Right.
there's so many great games out there. I mean, it's really there. It's just a smorgasbord of stuff that you can do at home. And there's so much that I mean, they won't know that you're doing therapy if you don't
Right.
tell them you're not doing therapy. It's just family game night.
Well, that's it. Beatrice is saying that they use that headbands game. Have you ever done that?
Oh my gosh,
You
yes.
you put the headband, you can't see the
You
card.
can't
And
see
she
any
said,
whatever it
yep.
is, and yep,
She
it's
said it really
so
helps the
great.
child with describing objects. It forces her to use several adjectives to have the other person guess the object they're describing. Um, and then, oh, Tracy was saying if you contact casinos, they give you old cards and dice for free.
Oh wow. I
Yeah,
didn't
she said the casinos can only use them once. She did it a year ago and got tons of cards and dice. So
yeah.
that's a really great tip on how to
I
get.
got these at the Dollar Tree, so there's that. Yeah, yeah, you can get them for free. You can get them for next to nothing. Dice or again, I get them at the dollar store or something. They're everywhere. There's so much great stuff out there. And I mean, and it's just having fun with your kids.
Right. Well, I
It's
know
what
we
it's
had
for.
asked earlier too, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I know it was a lot of information. I really appreciate how you're really helping each other by putting information in the chat. That's always really helpful. I know there was a question about whether or not you would be able to get a copy of the PowerPoint. And yes, we do send participants a copy of the PowerPoint so that you will have that information. You'll be able to refer to it. But we also post the recording because we've been recording. We also post that on our families channel, and that will go up on the families channel. Generally, it goes up within a week to 2 weeks of our presentation. I know you had, do you want to put the QR code back up, Jill?
Oh, sure, I can do that. Sorry, I was just trying to get the to see the chat box because when I
Oh,
share
okay.
my screen, I can't see the chat box. So,
Um, this, if for everyone who is in attendance, this QR code, if you go ahead and scan that with your phone, it will allow you to give some feedback, which we really value. We always appreciate that. Um, I also wanted to let you know, Jill, we have a niece is saying that her son is 8,
uh-huh.
and more than 6 years they've been trying to get him to understand it's okay to lose. And she said it's very stressful. Do you have any tips for helping that kind of a situation?
I, Anise, I'm with you. It's really hard. When my sons, I have twin boys who are on the spectrum, and it was doubly difficult because not only do they both hate to lose, but they're also hyper competitive with each other. So I can tell you that one thing that helped was me modeling losing. And I would lose a lot, sometimes on purpose, because it was more important for them to learn the lesson of how to lose. And I would say things like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm coming in last, so neither of you two have to. You're welcome." And I would just use a lot of things like that. I would just model losing and like, and I come in last again, woohoo! I would do things like that, and and they would say, "Why are you acting that way?" I said, "Well, it's because it's just a game, and I'm having so much fun with you that I don't care if I lose. I just really like having fun playing games with you." And so, doing things like that, it's it it's just helpful for them to learn that not everything, because they get invested in the game.
Mhm.
They get invested in the outcome of the game. And it's just reminding them to be invested in the process of the game and invested in the enjoyment of spending time with each other. So sometimes I would just tell like silly jokes, like if we were playing cards and we were playing rummy and my son laid out 6, 7 7, 8, 9. I would say, you know why 6 is afraid of 7? He goes, because 7, 8, 9. And I'm like, you got it. And so we would just do things like that all the time to keep it light and keep it fun and invite them in to that process of having fun while somebody else might be doing better than they are momentarily. So it's just inviting them into the fun part of it. And like, oh, well, losing makes me hungry. Who wants popcorn? I want popcorn.
Andrea was saying, similar to what you were just saying, she said, we say good game and focus our attention on the one who loses so that the attention doesn't always go to the winner. Anise was saying thank you for the response as well, but I think that is really good ideas. I think those are really good ideas because so often we want to celebrate only who wins instead of also recognizing,
Yeah.
you know what, this was a really great game and you all played well and everyone, you know, took their turns the way we wanted them to and
Yeah,
focusing on some of the
and
positives.
sometimes you have to point out that's like you're the comeback kid. You know, we play my house, we play Parcheesi a lot. And if you don't know what Parcheesi is, oh, you're missing out. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. It's like Sorry before there was Sorry. It's my son, it's the Royal Game of India. And that's how he says, would you like to play Parcheesi? The Royal Game of India? Because that's the full title of the game. But we play that and you get sent home. You can get sent right back to the beginning. You could be right up towards the end and get sent right back home. And so we always say, and who is the comeback kid this game? Who came from behind and made it as far as that? That's really an accomplishment. That's pretty amazing. And so you focus on the gains and you focus on, it's like you won, congratulations. But you know what? Your brother was the comeback kid this game. He really came from behind and he almost won, which is fantastic. That's pretty amazing. So you get them to recognize the efforts of each other. Yet another reason why we never did video games or anything else, because talk about hyper competitive, boy, that just gets to be too much. And then they're locked in with the screen instead of with people. So you've eliminated the social part of it. We also didn't do physical ability games because we had somebody in our family who had severe motor deficiencies. So physical games were not fun for everybody. So it has to be something that is enjoyable and everybody has a chance to participate and everybody has a chance to win. And you can use accommodations. There's card holders out there that can hold your cards for you if he really struggles, but it's an effort for him to learn, right? So those are the kind of decisions that you have to make, what works for you as a family. And just, you know, I think Victoria has my contact information and I can talk to you about some things that we used to do. You can call me or email me and I can talk to you about things that we used to do as a family that helped with lots of the different issues that we had with sensory and everything else. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I went ahead and posted it again just so that you have it. And Andrew was also saying Double Trouble is similar and really fun too. Oh,
yeah.
and he says that sounds like Parcheesi sounds like Ludi in her country. I think it's Ludi or Ludi.
Yeah, it's so much, it's a lot of fun. It's just a game board and there's where you're trying to get home and then there's where you start out and just, oh my goodness, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of how you're going to move or which piece are you going to move and how can you, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but they learn how to not be, that you can still be a very strategic game player and have a good time without focusing on winning or losing. And that is really the purpose of family game night, to gradually get to that point. It is not going to happen overnight. It is going to take time and it is going to take tears. It is going to take frustration and then, but you'll eventually get there.
Right.
Yeah.
And Anise is saying patience. Absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned during all of this, Jill, is the modeling. Modeling, modeling, modeling. Um, and I think the consistency of that modeling makes a huge difference for our children. And they realize, you know what? We had the same response last time. I'm going to get the same response this time. If we're going to say great game and eventually it starts to take.
It's like everything else. It's like why potty training is a process. This is a process. They're not going to be 100%. It's not like, oh, well, maybe you had that kid that got it right away, and congratulations. We were not that family.
Neither were we.
It took us a while, and there were lots of failures and slip ups and accidents along the way. And you just handle it with, well, you know what? Accidents happen. Well, you know what? I get frustrated too. I understand that. So, you know what? Why don't we just, and this is one thing we did as a family. We just did this. Why don't we brush it off? Just brush it off. Whew. Now, why don't we go have some ice cream? Why don't we go eat some pizza? Why don't we go watch that movie? Why don't we go do that other thing? Okay? Because we just brushed it off. Now it's
I
gone.
like that. I like the physical act of brushing it off. I think that's helpful.
It is. I love things that help you transition from one thing to the next thing, and brush it off helps transition. So uh, practically everything we did was had a purpose behind it.
Well,
So,
I think that we were able to share a lot of really wonderful information. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us this evening. I did pop in the chat box. Oh, thank you so much. Esther is saying that she really enjoyed the session and wanted to mention that Bonneville Elementary was not a choice when registering for this WebEx. Oh, so thank you. We really enjoy that you spent the time with us. We know that you could spend that time in many ways. So the fact that you chose to join us this evening, we are truly grateful. As always, our goal is to help you support you as you work to support your children. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all working together towards, which is the success of all of our children. So again, we thank you. Have a great night. Jill, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate every time that you make time for us. You always come with a lot of great information, wonderful energy. So I thank you very much. And we're going to go ahead and say good night to everyone.
all right, good night, and thanks so much for having me. I really enjoy being here.